What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another solo leveling Arise video. Alright guys, we got ourselves a brand new showcase on a weapon that's a pretty damn badass looking one and also performs really well. But how good is the brand new Zeke weapon that came out, the dark weapon? Does it compare to the plum sword? How is it different? Should you focus on it? And where does it stand in terms of ranking? So I'm not going to give it a tier right away because we got to do some more testing, but we did get an A4 today off stream, and so we're going to check out ZEKE'S Fragment today. We're going to go through everything it offers and why it's going to be a pretty damn badass weapon when it comes over to DPS. And we're going to do a little bit of comparison with the Moon Shadows as well as comparing it to the Plum Sword. Okay, so you guys can see right away, Plum Sword perspective, basic attacks versus the Moon Shadow. Moon Shadow's basic attacks are way higher in every single stage, but of course the Plum Sword gives you better buffs. Debatably, right? Now with ZEKE'S, if you compare it, it's very comparable to the Moon Shadows. Moon Shadow just has a little bit higher in the first and second and third, but it's not by much. So we're looking at level 7s across the board. If you look at the core attack, 528 versus 643 versus 599. So ZEKE'S core attack actually is the weakest of the three. You can see Moon Shadow Blades actually has the strongest core attack out of all of them. I'm not sure if a lot of people are surprised by that or not. And then level 10, of course, you got yourself the following: 2212 versus 963, and then the 1927. So you have to combine these two because they're two different attacks. First you'll throw the javelin, then you'll drop. Okay, so you guys will see that there's two different consumptions going on here, 80 and 80 from terms of MP, so 160 total. So you guys will see here in terms of numbers, the ZEKE'S sword at the end, or ZEKE'S fragment, will do a lot more. And if we look at compared to the last one here, definitely does more than the plum sword. So what makes this such a powerful weapon in regards to pure DPS is the actual skills that come along with Ascension. So here's how this works. I'm gonna show you guys this in action as well, okay? So whenever you use this attack, first thing he'll do is do the javelin attack, where he'll throw the javelin at a distance and hit the opponent that it's targeting. Pretty straightforward, like it goes right to it. The second thing it'll do was a drop attack, which essentially, if you've played Street Fighter before and use Akuma, you know it just teleports and then drops right down on the opponent, picking the spear right back up, right? Whenever you throw the javelin, you'll apply the fragment retrieval effect after using the drop attack. Right after you do the second attack, the user gains super armor, so you can't get knocked back. And not only that, your damage increase is reduced by 50% for 5 seconds, which is huge. And then fragment retrieval does the following: when the effect ends, it applies refined fragment. Duration is 3 seconds. Refined fragment also stands for 3 seconds, and then the damage of ZEKE'S Advent and ZEKE'S Return is increased by 50%. All right, so you do quite a bit of damage with A0. Now with A1, ZEKE'S Return activates after the user uses a drop attack. So the moment you use a drop attack, you will get this ZEKE'S Return, the 50% instantly. ZEKE'S Return damage and mana consumption, same as drop attack. The user does a powerful forward-facing slash, creating a black lightning. So the new move now comes into play. When ZEKE'S Return is used in sequence with drop attack, it increases the attack's damage by 50%. So now you're adding more damage again to the full-on move. The A2 gives you more dark damage, which obviously is brilliant for this weapon because it's dark. The A3, when the user uses a drop attack more swiftly, the user can use drop attack more swiftly. When the user uses a drop attack, it immediately applies the refined fragment effect. Again, the effect is right here, right? You get the 50% extra bonus damage. When the user uses drop attack and ZEKE'S Return, sequentially, the cooldown of ZEKE'S Advent decreases by 2%. So now you get yourself the skill cooldown reduction, right? And then A4, of course, reduces ZEKE'S Advent by an additional 20%. So with this, allowing you to spam it a little more. And then the last one, which I'm waiting for until the bonus ends, is when the user uses drop attack and ZEKE'S Return sequentially, it enhances the refined fragment effect and applies the black lightning effect. In this case now, instead of doing 50% damage, you do 80% damage, plus you get the critical hit rate of ZEKE'S Advent and ZEKE'S Return by 20%, lasting for 3 seconds, allowing you to do more crits. So let's take this bad boy into a game mode and try it out to show you guys exactly how it works and why this is going to be a top tier DPS weapon, but not one I don't think that is going to replace, I don't think it's going to replace the Moon Daggers or the Plum Sword. All right, you have to remember the Moon Dagger and Plum Sword are support DPS weapons. So the Plum Sword excels at crit hit, crit damage, and also excels at AoE, right? The Moon Shadow Daggers excel at increasing damage attack, or increases damage done to the opponent, of course, right, with the 3 stacks especially. Also increases the dark damage you do, and also is excellent excellent at single target damage, right? So that's where you want to use that instead versus AoE, which is the Plum Sword. Now where ZEKE'S comes into play is it's the ultimate DPS weapon of all three. So the Moonshadow Daggers and the ZEKE'S Fragment is going to be the two best probably dark weapons you can use if you're looking for raw DPS with dark element. Okay, so what we're gonna do, guys, I mean, this is gonna be fairly straightforward and easy. You guys can see we got a little bit more in terms of her up, so we're gonna just show you guys how this weapon works. I'm gonna actually replace this with the Moonshadow Daggers instead. I think they're a little bit better. There we go. We got a little bit more CP out of it. So let me show you guys how this works. Okay, so the javelin attack and then the drop attack. I particularly want to show you guys. Now this is going to be really easy because of course the opponent is only the level 1 version. So we're going to just show you guys why this works so well, and the distance and range and attack power. Okay, so again, this is going to be a very easy fight. As we go along through here, you're going to see more and more of the attack. Okay, so here, watch. Toss, drop, drop. See that? So that right there, that third attack is the I think it's the A2 or A3 version of that attack. Okay, so that's how that works. I'm gonna show you guys that one again. So I want to get all these extra bonuses, obviously. So the initial A0 version of it on my free to play, for example, is you throw the javelin like you just saw, and then you drop, but you don't do that extra swing attack. That extra swing attack is a massive DPS increase, especially because of how much damage you do when you actually do the drop. So let's see. Let's put in these guys. All right. And I'll show you guys again, okay? I'm going back in. I'll show you guys the javelin throw again, and you'll see the drop. Now, again, for free to play, the drop is where it stops. It still does insane damage, and it is still worth absolutely going for. But again, if you are looking for the best weapon for dark, I still believe it is going to be either the Moonshadow Daggers or the Plum Sword. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so it's not a necessity by any means, shape, or form to go for this weapon. It is a purely damage dealing, insanely range DPS and quick. It's so fast. It's so fast when it comes down to attacking, right? So watch the cooldowns. Let's see if anything can survive this for a little while. I don't think they will be able to. So we're gonna, as we progress here, you're gonna see the enemies get a little tougher, so it'll be easier to see the power. But look at that range. Look at that attack. Look at that. Back to back to back to back. Super fast. We're talking about incredible speed, incredible range. I think the range, we're going to just check the range right now, might actually be almost unlimited. Okay, we're going to show my shadows real quick. I'm going to go as far as I possibly can off the screen, and we're going to see how much of a range this weapon actually has. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's wait for this guy to pop up. We'll summon our shadows right here. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and let him run. We're going to see how far this goes. Okay, so it does have a, look at that, it does have a distance. So I would say probably half the field from here to here. So it was right about here we stopped. Okay, you guys can see the cooldown does take a little bit of time. Not a big deal though, but watch this. Watch this damage when I go through, okay? Look at that damage. Look at that insane damage. It's crazy. Now combine that with the Moonshadow Daggers, you're looking at even more damage because of the actual debuff that you cause with the Moonshadows. And I think that's why Moonshadows will be better, because it increases dark damage and also increases damage taken overall on the opponent, right? So range-wise, I'd say it's way further than the Huntsman, which is crazy. And it's also, I'd say, probably about equivalent to what you would see at the Westwind. There you guys go. Look at that damage. Now look at the cooldown. 10 seconds. It was what 12-second cooldown, right? So if we were to do this, for example, right, if I were to do that and have that extra Eclipse debuff on there, this weapon would hit way harder. And I think this is why it's actually a better option to go with the Moonshadow Daggers versus the Plum Sword. So if you're looking for the best two DPS combinations in the game right now for dark weapons, specifically dark weapons, don't look any further than the Moonshadow Daggers and the ZEKE'S Fragment. I will do some more testing for you guys to show that if needed, but because of the increase in regards to how much Moonshadows do, right there, look at this. Watch this. Watch this damage. Look at that. Look how fast we kill that thing. Crazy damage. Now, we don't even have an A5. Remember, A5 increases the damage to 80% versus 50%. So not only are we going to be doing more damage, but they're also guaranteeing it almost a crit, because you get the extra 20% crit rate on all of those attacks going forward. So if you're stacking a lot of crit damage and you have 50% crit, the passive alone from that will get you to 70%, not including everything else that you have going on with Igris and all the passives from your skills, etc. So very strong, guys. Now, again, is it worth it for you as a free-to-play player? How is it comparison to, like, let's say the Phoenix Bow? I'll be honest, I think the Phoenix Bow still takes the cake in regards to overall utility and distance. The problem with the Phoenix, of course, in basic attacks, right? Because your basic attacks are further away. What I don't like about the Phoenix bow, of course, is the fact that it has such a small hitbox. You miss all the time. Phoenix bow, though, is better for core attack. So if you're being a core attack build, Phoenix bow is a better option. But when you're coming down to pure DPS, range, and speed and attack, I think this weapon takes the cake. I think this is probably going to be his strongest, best DPS weapon for quite some time, but it does require a lot of investment. I'd say at least at the minimum getting that third slash in, right? Watch this. Look at that. That A5 right there would have made that crit, right? You guys can see here, in terms of its damage, even with core attacks and basic attack, it still does quite a bit, right? So, here, watch it. We'll do it again right now. Look at that. Look at that. See? Those crit misses are unfortunate. A5, probably guarantee those every single time. So you'll see the difference once that A5 hits. So for whales, obviously, A5 is where you want to aim or higher. Free to play, I'd say A1 is ideal. For dolphins, A3, right? So you guys can get that extra bonus slash in. And that A3 mark, I think, is the pivotal one, really, to where it can stop if you're not looking to go any further, because that extra attack is pretty damn huge, guys. So again, I hope this video does help some of you guys figure out what you want to do with this. I think it's absolutely worth it. I think it's an amazing weapon. But as well too, it's very, very hard to get weapons because of the way the banner's set up, and that's why we have the brand new banner system, and I'll talk more about that in a separate video and how I feel about it. But right now, I'd say, yeah, this weapon is absolutely incredible. Great DPS, but it's still, I will say this right now, it's still not as good as the Moonshadow Daggers or the Plum Sword. Those two still are the two best dark weapons in the game. This is a third one. I would even say better than Scythe, not as good as the other two. All right? So that's pretty much my take on it. So I'd say it's number 3 now. So we're going Moonshadow Daggers, Plum Sword 1 and 1, 1 and 2, however you want to look at it. Plum 1, Shadow 1 or 2, or Shadow 1, Plum 2, however you want to look at it. Again, they're both very, very good. And then I would say ZEKE'S Fragment, and then I would say the Scythe. All right. This is Payne. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.